today we are. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, okay, there it's working. We're covering October 28th, 2023 by LL Research, Part 2. You can see the link for Part 1 in the comments below. All right, so we're going to get to reading it in just a moment. Okay. So, all right, you guys want me to do the reading?
Yes, please, dude.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
Like I said, you are raw in my head now. It'd be weird not you doing the reading.
Okay. Thank you, Kuo. First, I'll express my gratitude for being included in this teaching. Some of us notice that nature speaks to us in ways to remind us of oneness. Is there any significance to seeing, say, curtains or veils of zeros and ones? Is there meaning in that could further direct us to understand oneness with each other? I am Kuo, and I am aware of the query, my sister. Indeed, this question speaks to the aspect of the journey that can utilize cues and take hints from one's environment, and in doing so, become more in tune with the self, with the environment around the self, in such a way that one recognizes the oneness of all things, both within and without. We may speak to specifics or particular aspects of such cues, such as the veils of ones and zeros that you have referred to. But in doing so, we would be addressing a specific singular type of guidance. Instead, we would offer a perspective on this that would be more generally applicable. Cues such as this, while they may be shared collectively or among groups, always have an individual meaning for the self. And even if they are shared and have objective meaning, there is still a deeply personal relationship that each individual may come to with such perceptions. It is in developing these relationships with these cues that one may become more and more in tune with the source of the intelligence behind these things. For when we speak of signs and symbols and cues, whether in nature or perceived elsewhere, these things are manifestation of one's guidance system. Whether it is an aspect of the guidance system referred to as the higher self or other discarnate entities who are friends guiding you and helping you along the path, or more intimately, aspects of the self simply generating or attracting certain circumstances in order to allow you to have certain revelations or insights, or to see signposts asking you to look deeper into the nature of one thing or another. When perceiving these things and asking what the meaning is or how to utilize them more, it is good to take note of those contexts and circumstances around these events and examine the state of the self and reaction one has not only to this catalyst, but to the circumstances surrounding this catalyst, and to then take this reaction or this relationship into your meditative state and explore it by holding the feelings and responses within your consciousness and to allow them to fill your being. In doing so, you may find that these things that you have perceived begin to speak to you through this patience practice. And by continuing this practice, you come into deeper and deeper relationship with your environment in such a way that you may see intuitively within nearly all circumstances and all catalyst that comes before you, meaning and guidance and opportunity for you that is personal for you on your journey. This one of the most powerful tools that seekers within your environment can utilize. For you experience a veiled reality in which you are unaware, for the most part, of the vast intelligence and awareness contained within your unconscious mind. And these reflections that you see in your outward environment are simply manifestations attempting to guide you through that veil and come into contact with that aspect of yourself that recognizes and understands fully the oneness of self with all things and of self with the one infinite creator. All right. Okay. So, what do you guys think of that?
What was the original question about the ones and zeros?
Yes. What does a veil of ones and zeros mean?
I don't know. I think the guy must be Neo.
I think, yeah, they
asking for help.
probably just watched The Matrix recently. That's what it means.
That's it. It's just, they had
It's all-
Keanu Reeves in there, you know,
To me, that answer is so long-winded. It didn't even answer the question. It basically said it's whatever you want it to be because it's whatever you're experiencing, depending on who you are.
Well, kind of, but it more to me. It more said kind of that it's the synchronicities and the things that happen to you in your life. Yeah, that you have to go through. You bring them to yourself because you need to learn those things. They're the things that you need to come in contact with. So you have to come in contact them, and really all of it, every single thing is learning to see the creator in everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Learning to see love and the creator in every single situation, and all these situations, however they come to you, whatever synchronicity or weird thing brings them to your attention. That's the point. It's your attention towards, recognizing the creator in the thing and loving it, however weird it might be. All right.
Go back to the question. The question was zeros and ones.
Yeah, he said like a veil of zeros and ones. I don't know what he meant.
Okay, and so no. Hold on a second.
I think they were going for that. Are we in a simulation or something?
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Right.
The Matrix.
So I got here ChatGPT's summary. Utilizing environmental cues, the text emphasizes the importance of being attentive to cues and hints in one's environment. These cues help in harmonizing with oneself and the surrounding world, fostering a deeper realization of the unity of all existence. So they're saying, pay attention to everything. Personal interpretation of cues. While some cues might have a collective or group significance, their interpretation is highly personal. Each individual should seek to understand what those signs mean to them on a personal level. Yeah. Developing relationship. Go ahead.
Sorry, dude. I was going to jump in there. So
that's fine.
Both of those things, I suppose, are quite relevant. Like people must have had things where, synchronicities happen, weird things kind of come together, stuff. Like that saying that there's. Please don't cut me out.
No.
Hello, yeah, I'm back.
No. Oh.
Awesome. There's no such thing as coincidence. Yeah. Like every single kind of coincidence is just like God's way of talking to you. Yeah. Synchronicity and these events coming together, they're always there to teach you something. You know what I mean? So whatever these environmental cues are, however it comes to you, they're always coming to you for the same reason. They're always coming to you to harmonize and connect you to your path, to what you need to be doing. And that other bit there where he talks about the different way people perceive signs. Yeah, like does anyone else have like angel numbers or anything that they look for? Like they see repeated numbers or
See, I always ignore those types of things. Anything like that I don't know. It must be an anti-suspicion thing that I have because.
Well, I'm rubbish with numbers, yeah, but I always do things like animal signs. Like, I count crows. Like if I see a fox, if I see different animals, if I see different things like in nature that are brought to me, then I perceive those as cues and kind of like little omens and little things that I kind of pick up. Whereas other people see kind of numbers, or they see like this, or they see that happening as little like things that they use themselves to kind of as the same thing as the synchronistic events or whatever, the way they perceive those things being brought to you. Anyway, sorry, dude, jump in.
I have lately been noticing. I never knew any of this stuff before, but like certain things like owls being around you all the time. I didn't know that meant anything.
Yeah,
I've had owls around me my whole life.
Like the druidic kind of systems, that the whole of how they did everything was based on what nature brought across in front of them. Yeah. So if you saw a specific animal, it meant a specific thing. Yeah. And if you go through your life and every single time you see that, then this happens, you start to equate it between those two things. So over time, you learn that all these different things mean different stuff. Like I always heard the idea that like a robin, that little red-breasted robin, if you have one of those in your kind of garden, or it's quite territorial, they kind of still stay in one place. that's like a dead relative or something that has
I thought that
chose
was
to
a
come back
cardinal.
and
I
keep
thought it
looking
was.
after you. Do you know what I mean?
I thought that was a cardinal. Or is it a
Well,
robin?
like, I don't know whether it's different in different places, but the point of the
No.
matter is having a little like Robin. You know, we always used to say, "Oh, that's Granddad come over to check how the garden's doing."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so, like equating those things to things that are brought to you in nature is like just what kind of is how I interpret what they were talking about anyway. But everyone has these little internal bloody suspicion. What's they called? Superstitions. Do you know what I mean?
Superstition.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Developing relationships with the cues. By forming deeper connection with these environmental signals, one becomes more aligned with the source or intelligence behind them. This could be an aspect of the higher self, guidance from discarnate entities, or a manifestation of the self's desires and attractions. Reflective practice. When encountering these cues, it's beneficial to reflect on the context and personal reactions to them. Integrating this reflection into meditative practice allows the perceptions to communicate deeper meanings and insights. So yeah, in terms of cues for me, like 11 is like really big in my life. Um, and deepening environmental connection. Continued practice leads to a more intuitive understanding of one's environment. This enhances the ability to perceive personal meaning, guidance, and opportunities in various circumstances, aiding personal growth on one's journey. Understanding the veiled reality. The text acknowledges that our reality is veiled, hiding the vast intelligence and awareness of our unconscious mind. The cues in our environment are seen as manifestations that guide us through this veil, helping us to connect with the part of ourselves that recognizes the oneness with everything and the one infinite creator. In essence, for seekers, this passage underscores the value of being mindful and reflective of the signs and symbols encountered in daily life, using them as tools for personal and spiritual development. Right. All right. Okay, so should we do the next one then? Thank you. Okay. Cool. Is it accurate to tell patients that their lives unfolded the way they were supposed to? That they didn't miss any opportunities, though they may have experienced detours, or is that just true for some individuals and not other individuals? I am Kuo, and I am aware of your query, my brother. We tread carefully in responding to this question, for we have a perspective from where we exist that is unveiled, where we can witness the guiding path of each individual and the intelligence that goes into the manifestation of circumstances and experiences, and can affirm that when you share such statements and insights with those wishing to be healed and understanding their circumstances, it is accurate statement from what we can see. However, the impact of such a statement within your reality may carry with it a certain emotional charge or a certain implication. If the person who is receiving this message is not prepared or does not have a certain spiritual perception that allows the statement to be seated within the self in a way that is couched in love and understanding and acceptance, it has the potential to generate further catalysts and distortion. Thus, we encourage that such knowledge is shared through a deepened relationship of a healer and a patient, that such space is generated for it to be received in a way that is accepted and understood and does not perpetuate more emotional attachments to these circumstances that are being referred to.
Oh, I can see that happening.
I've had that before. Okay, so you try telling someone, the whole idea that you pick your path before you come here.
Right.
It's all planned out. That the major things that happened to you, they were planned by you. That you chose these things. You chose to go through these things as your learning path. You tried telling that to someone who's angry at the world because they got hit by a bus. There's no bloody way I chose to get hit by a bus. No way.
I thought that too when I first got, started learning. I go, why the hell would I want that? What the hell was wrong with me up there? I go, what the hell was wrong with you? That's what I was thinking. And,
Can I say, I found it liberating because it's the first like philosophical religious text that I've ever heard that gave you responsibility over everything, to put it squarely in your lap. It's not God's fault. It's not some demon not some Satan trying to tempt you away. No, you made the choices. You made the plan. You're coming in. You're living your plan that you made. Own it. Right, that right there is like the most refreshing, most resonant, real teaching I've ever heard given by anybody, just across the board. Because then who else? Who have you got to blame at that point? No one. You have to take responsibility for these things. Yeah. If you made the choice to come here and get hit by a bus, yeah, then fuck it. That's what happened. Own it.
I can understand that somebody coming in fairly new and you're doing some work on them, and you tell them that, and they're just going to go what until they understand the whole the concepts and all that. They'll get irritated, and you know they will get very irritated.
The thing is, everybody wants someone to blame. It's much easier to blame somebody else.
Sure.
You know, why did you do this to me, God? You know, but like when really the only person you got to shout at yourself is you, yeah, then you sort it out, didn't you? You know, you learn those lessons. You forgive. You face yourself, and you really do the work internally rather than outsourcing it. You know. So yeah, for me, one of the most incredible things about this in every way, because it's the only real one that says it. Really, of everything else, everyone else has got some kind of bad guy, some way of kind of like, you know, I'll just confess, you'll be fine. You know, it's a cop out. Like, you know, do the work, people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I like this summary from Kua's perspective. Telling patients their life unfolded as it should is accurate. This insight requires careful sharing, ensuring recipients are ready to accept it without emotional distress.
Right.
Like if they're in a really bad situation, you know, that might not be the best time to say it. You know, where they feel overwhelmed and all that.
I did feel bad. I mean, she had been hit by a bus. I did feel bad. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, that would be serious. Consider perspective, understand the journey, ensure they're ready, relationship, couch in love, avoiding emotional distortions. Okay. Encourage self-acceptance. Very good. Very good. All right. We want to move on to the next one? Okay. Okay, we're Kuo. Kuo. This is W. And I've shared with the circle where I am now in my journey. And I sense that the person I can see, you know, where that direction this is going. But I guess my concern is, and the question is, what is that I might need to know now? And what might I expect? Because my work is taking me far beyond my traditional work with ministry to a particular people. Now I'm getting opportunities to go to many other places. So what is it that I might need to know now that I might and what might I expect? We are those of Kuo, and we greet you, the one known as W. And we thank you for the respect afforded us in looking to us to fill in this blank. We sense the ardentness of your journey. Oh, here, I'll maximize it for you. We sense the dedication to your path and your desire to do that which is most aligned with your highest and best in service to others. We of the Confederation cannot fill in that blank for you by stating specifically what it is you need to know at this moment. For to do so would be to short circuit your own path of learning and exercise of free will. And it would be imbalanced in making us learn teachers for you, instead of teach learners unto you. But we must say in encouragement, my brother, that you cannot make a mistake, and that this process that you are undergoing of asking this question in which you have asked us, has been echoed in your own heart, in your own internal inquiry. This question is a means of activating your inner compass that it may sense the northwardly, shall we say, direction that you wish to travel. And in engaging this question and being receptive to that which may come up for you, whether in your own emotional body, your physical body, your thoughts, your intuitions, your dreams, or those outwardly points of connections that may manifest for you, a chance remark that an associate makes, a book you see on a shelf, and so forth, infinitely that guidance will meet this question. It may not arrive as one complete picture or one master plan that says, you shall, or it is best to pursue this thread. and then do this thing, and then make this commitment. Instead, it may be just a gentle sense or intuition to look into this particular lead, have a conversation with this particular person, and follow that and see what comes up for you, my brother. And then through such means, one step may lead to the next and the next until you look back and see what you are that you are walking that path and have made that decision and had somewhat befuddled you or given you pause before. We feel of you, my brother, that you have long exercised and trusted an inner sense of resonance, of knowing that which is for you and that which is not for you, where you may be of service and where you may not be of service, perhaps not exercised perfectly. For who among your peoples dances with flawless skills, placing the foot precisely and always where it needs to go without stumbling? But you have hearkened to this voice which has helped to guide you upon and in the seeking of that high road, because in large part you have magnetized your heart to help your fellow sisters and brothers and planet in your own way as well as the third density entities do. You have sought that balance of the spiritual development of the self and the being available for reaching out to others that you may be a shoulder or a heart or a hug or a word, and trust in yourself. You are strong upon the path.
Okay, in my opinion on that, that was a stupid question for the guys to ask, and they were basically just being over nice to him out of pity. Just my kind of like gut feeling.
I hear you. Well, I think they gave him a general advice on
Yes.
how to deal with making decisions. They were basically
In
in a
the
point of a
future, how
decision.
to deal with the future in
Mhm.
anything ever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's how I felt too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like the Raw session that was entirely about the cat.
But he did.
Yeah. They said just keep doing what you're doing and make educated, moves forward and feel it. It's like they said that you have that in you to do that, but you're gonna have to do it. It's your path, and you'll make a good choice. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, everything will always be perfect. Why does
Mhm.
he need to know these extra things? It's supposed to surprise.
Yeah, he wants definite answers, and there is no definite right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. But it's still just good generic advice here. It says basically Kuo encourages embracing your journey, trusting your intuition, and being open to guidance in various forms without expecting a clear roadmap.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
acknowledge your dedication and alignment with your highest service to others. Understand that specifics cannot be provided by external sources. But it does mention, like that some people may say something, and you've got to track those synchronicities,
That
because
is it.
oftentimes they're big help. Activate your inner compass. Use your questions and concerns as a means to activate your guidance system. Stay receptive to various forms of guidance like emotions, thoughts, intuitions, dreams, and external signs.
Mhm.
Pay attention to subtle hints and opportunities like chance remarks or interesting encounters and explore them. Yeah, that's what I meant. One step at a time. Recognize the guidance might come in small steps, leading to a clearer path as you progress. Trust
Mhm.
in personal continue to trust your innate sense of knowing what is right for you and where you can be of service. Uh, Accept that no journey is flawless. It's normal to stumble and learn as you go. Strive to balance your own spiritual growth with being available to help and support others. Trust in your strength and your ability to walk the path you've chosen.
Mhm.
All very good advice.
Mhm.
ChatGPT is like really multi-ethnic on this. All right. Now, the next question. We thank you, my brother. Our heart opens to you, with you. We know that this is not easy plain by any means. When faced with a decision, confusion and distorting energies of doubt and apprehension and fear may make the way seem very unclear and may cause more pain at times than peace. But that blazing sword which can cut through such self limiting energies is that energy known to us as faith. We would suggest to each seeker in this room that who may receive our words that faith is always available to you, however far you may have perceived yourself to have wandered in your journey. It takes only the small trusting invocation of faith and the world that opens up to you becomes available.
Hmm.
That's
Well.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
That
is nice.
Did we want to? I don't know.
Okay, so I've been thinking about faith quite a lot recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we tried, like I said, we try to think of this whole kind of like quantum biological idea. You know that we're essentially big fat antennas and receivers. That consciousness is actually a quantum state that matter gathers around. You know, so our cells and everything, they all do what they're told to do because we are a quantum system of energy. You know, and yeah, oh, I forgot what I was going to say now.
You're talking about faith.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So faith. Yeah. Like so this idea of faith. Yeah. Right. Like with that, with the quantum thing. Yeah. I think that faith is one of these things that is like it's like a check or a balance that you need to go through in order to get things started. Like, so if we're talking about these things are activated by genes, yeah, right. So in order to get this receptor to take in this wavelength, you need to activate a gene that then makes a protein that then takes in that wavelength, and then somehow that's transmitted via vibration to consciousness. Yeah, right. So if that's the kind of step by step that the real world gets taken in by the body and then gets perceived by consciousness, kind of thing, you know, then is faith one of these things that you need to unlock those gene codes? Does that make sense? Like is the actual kind of vibration that you produce by having faith one of the things that turns on the promoters, that actually triggers the activation of those genes, that gives you them proteins that then allows you to have that connection?
Ed, that's exactly the right track. And you know what? It's not just that though. You're talking about a formula where you're cleansing your body and you're aligning different chakras different ways with proper positioning and meditating and doing all these different things and starting to crystallize different areas of your body and your chakra points. So when you couple that with doing other things like what you're talking about, yeah, you're going to have probably, I would imagine, a profound effect. If something as simple as sex can change your DNA, then something like that can definitely change your DNA.
I mean, DNA itself is pretty easy to change.
Epigenetic.
Yeah.
Like every cell in your body has six different, has six variations from the cell previous. So I mean, every cell in your every like person's DNA in every cell is slightly different. Yeah, every cell is a slightly different organism. You know, so the actual kind of the way that DNA it changes isn't really kind of the point. It's more how it's active, what bits are turned on and which bits are turned off.
Right.
So the thing that gives a cell identity, yeah. So what thing that makes a lung cell different from a liver cell is literally just the bits of the chromosomes that are turned on. Right. So this lung cell over here will have this bit of the chromosome and that bit won't be, and have this bit on and that bit not, and this bit here and that bit not. Yeah. Whereas the liver cell over here will have the same chromosomes, but it'll have this bit on and that bit on and that bit on and that bit on. Yeah.
Doesn't
so
that,
then all of those
proteins?
ones being on will make it a liver cell, and all of those ones being on will make it a lung cell. Right now, if meditation, yeah, and neuronal thinking things, passes those thought vibrations down neuronal networks in your body, so you can sense, so you can feel things there, yeah. And then that vibration is moving out, yeah, right. And then the vibration that the vibration of what you're thinking in meditation or whatever, yeah, goes through, and then that vibration is passed from the neurons to the DNA of whatever cells you need it to, that could then activate the gene. Right now, if you just sat there and thought, right, not really meditated but contemplated, you thought about a thing rather than went through the actual process of kind of removing the conscious mind and allowing things to come to you. Yeah, like if you had just contemplated it, yeah, then that effect do the same thing? Or do you need to have faith in the thing that you're thinking in order for it to do the work,
I think it's that you're saying the same thing though. Really, that's more of manifestation.
Yeah, but I'm talking about no, because I'm talking about literally a mechanical system. You think something, yeah. You think about what it feels like in your foot. Just think about what it feels like inside the middle of your foot. Yeah, you can think that, right? You can think, right? Okay, so right now you are in your brain. You're feeling sensory input from inside your foot. Yeah, so you've sent messages and you pass messages from brain to foot. Right now, if a neuron firing is essentially an electrical pulse, right, and then inside that sealed electrical system of a neuron, you've got a microtubule that is essentially a sealed system inside that electrical system, and that's got a vibration going up and down it, little biophoton going meow, 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 right, and that makes a vibration that comes outwards, yeah, from that neuron, yeah, that then affects the DNA of the cell next to it. Yeah, the vibration coming through that from that neuron, because you thought that thing and sent that to that cell, meant that there's a vibration now coming from that cell that then activates that the promoter of that neuron, allowing those genes to be expressed and you to heal yourself and you to do any of the changes that allow any of the changes that we can change, any of the things that we can do to cure ourselves. They could all be targeted and activated by that process of thinking the right thing in the right way, that then activates via a vibrational mechanical sense the activation of DNA via, in my personal theory, is via what's called G4 structures, which are little kind of loops of DNA that block off the promoter. And essentially they need vibration or they need tensile force to stretch them open. Yeah, so if you were to have a vibration that was passed through that hit the DNA at a right vibrationary frequency, in theory, it could untie those knots and activate genes. Right, from a thought to a vibration to a gene being activated to you then activating proteins to then you healing yourself to then all of these other things, but in a mechanical, testable, scientific system.
Right. But the faith thing comes into, like, say you wanted to heal something and you don't even have that faith, 10 to 1 it isn't going to, there's nothing going to happen, because like you said, you're thinking it, you're believing it, even though there's no actual proof, but you're believing it. And that's faith.
It, right? The faith in the belief is like the vibrational energy that allows those things to be activated. Yeah, so you could be sitting there contemplating, just thinking about stuff, but that isn't like an emotional interaction. Do you know what I mean? I did. Bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Oh, you're going? Okay. Love you.
Good night. Love you guys.
Bye.
Love you, dude. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying, though? Yeah, sorry, I'm fucking chatting rubbish.
Okay.
No.
It's okay. Yeah, maybe I'll do the next one now.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Okay. So if one person prays, that might have an impact. If two people join together in making that same prayer, you would think mathematically that would be double the impact. But when to pray together, is that a bigger multiplier, 3 times greater, 10 times greater?
Isn't that I was gonna say, isn't that squared or something like that? Or
yeah, I tried figuring it out. It's complicated, their squaring method. We are those of Kuo and appreciate the rephrasing of this question. Indeed, each unit of consciousness As you might say, that is a mind body spirit complex is the creator made manifest, and it has capacity to create the change in the illusion. Each is possessed of some degree of power, but when the consciousness and intention and purpose combine one to another, and then another, and then another, that power and the opening for change or impact which it creates is indeed multiplied. The manner of this multiplication is a factor of doubling. With each new entity added to the previous entity or set of entities, the product of that power is doubled, and then doubled again with the addition of the next entity, and doubled again, so on indefinitely, such that the, as it is expressed in numbers, mathematical result of this doubling reaches into the heavens with size and power and numbers outside the grasp of the intellectual mind to some degree. Thus it is that the group work upon the positive polarity is greatly enhanced and expanded when your hearts link together in shared purpose, in mutual trust and harmony between you, that you may share a collective intention between you of service to others. There are pairings and groupings which may seek an intention which is not quite or at all service to others. But when beings align for the purpose of love and light and empowerment and alleviation of suffering, a property emerges that is greater than the sum of the parts, much, much greater. Each may become a node in a circuit. You might see it that channels and focuses that power for the service to the Creator and other self or other selves, ultimately for the lightening of the planetary vibration. This has dimensions which move deeply into the esoteric, of course, but this is not so esoteric or occult for you. For each in this circle has felt the power of this group and of the possibilities that open in spiritual seeking when those gentle among you work together for a peaceful purpose. As we discussed prior to this channeling, such opportunities became quite vivid when you gather, as was true for some in this group who gathered recently, at what is known as the coming home to a new earth. By virtue of coming together with shared purpose and intention in a container into which each moves for the purpose of service to others, the Creator becomes more present, shall we say, or at least more available to that seemingly separate self which lives its existence generally feeling cut off from the omnipresence of the One. And in that magic that is the Creator come alive and made available to the self is the profound ability to uncoil, relax, and abide more strongly in that sense of the true home, and to see the self more clearly, to exercise the self's power and love and light and service more strongly. And more that those powers are given to this group and exercised collectively in a unified fashion, the greater that this property of the universe about which you have inquired is activated.
The more the merrier.
Basically,
Okay, so I read
Basically.
this thing. I read this thing once. I think it was from Bota, and I think it was the guy that the grey guy, that something grey that started Bota, and he said about how when you do a ritual, the guy standing at the front in all the robes with all the headdress on and everything that's leading the whole thing, he's not the point. Yeah, he might be the one standing there saying all the stuff, but he's not actually the one that derives the power from the magical ritual. It's the audience. Yeah. So all of those people combining their energies together in chanting and whatever else, they are the ones that the ritual's being performed for. So the guy at the front that's waving his arms about, he's only ever like a conduit for the people chanting. Yeah. So you see in all the rituals, like, you think these for the guy standing at the front, but really, all of those people uniting under whatever he's describing or whatever, yeah, is what is what affects it. They're the ones that get the effect, not him. If that makes sense. So that really ties in with what they were saying. It doesn't matter what his intentions might be. It doesn't matter what any one singular one of those people in that group's intentions might be. When they get together with that combined pure purpose, yeah, then it becomes something bigger than anyone. It becomes something bigger than the group themselves.
Right.
You literally open up some kind of connection to source, to the creator.
Is there something like the, I don't know, Des was saying, like the the projector, the
Generator,
generator,
manifestor,
and all.
projector.
Yeah. So was that kind of follow in line with that, or that
Maybe, but I
goes
think that
on?
comes down to kind of the types of people interacting with one another. You get people that act in those certain ways.
Mhm.
But yeah, the other thing that oh, there's another thing to say that struck in my head. The whole idea of a social memory complex.
Mhm.
You know, this idea that if you get everyone in the same kind of polarity, the same way of thinking,
Right.
the same kind of mutual understanding of love and respect amongst
Right.
consciousnesses to the point where they merge. Like
Mhm.
like in this kind of meditative circle, ritualistic grouping of magical energy. You
Mhm.
know, that whole thing becomes really kind of important, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Mm. So the summary here is group prayer amplifies impact through collective intention, with each additional participant doubling the power, enhancing spiritual work and service to others. So
Mhm.
recognize each person's ability to pray, and that it doubles. It's multiplicative. Group efforts are most potent when aligned with intentions of love, light, and service to others. Because the service to self people are always trying to dominate each other, so they can't really get together to make a
Mhm.
cohesive prayer.
Right.
Usually,
Yeah, and it makes sense, doesn't it? When you think about it, kind of like the guy at the front that's all egotistical, like whatever. It
Mhm.
makes sense that he's not really the one that gets the power,
mm,
because his egotistical little thing's going to be drowned out in amongst the cacophony of unified thought. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think that's a nice thing I like about the Anabaptists is that they have the servant leaders, and so the guy at the front is just another guy. He's not wearing a special robe or anything that
Right.
distinguish
I mean,
him
no,
from
don't get
other
me wrong.
people.
I love a good robe. Robes
Yeah,
are
yeah, no,
cool.
I wear a robe too. Yes,
Hey, look,
so but it's
I
it's
wish
the
I
point
could
is that
walk
they're
around in
humble.
Essex with a robe on, dude. I'd get a
It's the
kick in every
humility
day.
part.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And they're
No,
not
well,
But
well,
out to gain
yeah.
any kind of self gratification because I'm standing in the top of the stage there. And so if they're humble and they're just kind of leading the group, not taking over control of the group.
Mm,
100%.
mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that comes down to intention, doesn't it? It comes down to, and that's why you should trust your spiritual leader in
Mhm.
whatever
Mhm.
regard. Because
Mhm.
they you should resonate with their teachings, because you've got to be on that same vibratory level. Like you've got to feel the same, you've got to resonate the same way.
Mhm.
And in the Sunday schools, it's like the guy at the front is just the facilitator.
Right.
He's like, okay, this is the section. What do you guys think? It's like
Mhm.
they ask
That's kind
questions.
of cool. I like that. That's very, very
Yeah.
different from the Baptist I went to.
Yeah. Well, it's
We got told
Anabaptist.
we
Anabaptist.
got told exactly what it meant.
Oh yeah,
Exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. It means this.
That's
Mhm.
the Protestant, well, and the Catholic experience. But
Mhm.
the Anabaptist is a lot more like, let's follow Jesus. Jesus said to be kind to each other
Mhm.
and to listen to each other and to serve one another. We're going to actually
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
You guys can go and kill each other for whatever reason. I'm just gonna follow what the guy says and be nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. They're pacifists. They're radical pacifists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So here, collective intention and action. Group prayers or intentions focused on alleviation of suffering can have profound effects. View each participant as a node in a circuit, channeling focused power for collective good. Group
Mhm.
spiritual work contributes to the overall uplifting of the planetary energy, like what we're doing.
I
Yeah,
remember
go us.
that if
Yeah.
you watched Avatar, where they did everybody had hands on shoulder and all the energy was going up to the tree. That's
Mm-hmm.
the node. That's the nodes attached to.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
Okay,
Mhm.
expanding on that. Yeah, think about it this way. Yeah, if we've all got our own little certain things that we do, like what you said about Desiree, said about we've got the manifestors, we've got the potential, all these different types of
Mhm.
archetypal person. Yeah, could you organize people into a circuit,
I think you probably could.
right? So that each person had their own specific energetic input that they'd put in. And then, you could all have the same visualization, but your own internal part would work as a component of a circuit, allowing a specific outcome at the end via a unified intention between the group and a specific circuit, like they described, a node of working out or information being passed to come out at the other end with someone that could then manifest that thing for the group.
That'd be a really good experiment,
right?
Oh, yeah. See, there you go. Experimenting.
There
you go. Synchronicity.
Yep. And collective spiritual activities help individuals feel more connected to the universal presence. The more unified and collective the action, the greater the activation of this universal property, and recognize the transformative power of coming together for spiritual growth and service. And here's a typical scene. I don't know if you've been in one of these temples before. I have several times.
Oh, nice. Really?
Dude, I'm always impressed by the pictures you make, man. Like, seriously, they're very pretty.
Thank you.
It's like, do you have Dali on like the hippie setting?
I don't know. I just say make an image of this. See, it says here.
So you just put in the thing, then it makes an image from the thing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, it's so talented, isn't it? God.
Yes, it is.
I wish I was as good an artist as a computer.
I know.
I know. Isn't that something? When I was little, they're like, computer will never amount to anything. I remember when I was in high school, someone actually told me that my dad had told me that computers are just a fad.
Oh God, really?
Fad.
We just got the computer. I was a senior, and they just got the first computer in school. I'm like, oh, and I'm leaving already. I knew it was going to happen. Damn it.
That's funny. Yep.
Yeah, so that was in 81. Yeah, 81. They got in our school the first computer.
Yeah, my first computer was an Atari ST. Yeah.
Wow.
My dad wouldn't buy me a Nintendo or a console until I could like write my own game. Yes, my dad was a dick.
Whoa.
That's funny. Well,
that's good. Incentive.
Yeah, to be fair, it was quite good trying to sit there and learn first basic at like 7. Who does that?
Yeah. Well, I've taught my kids when they were like 3 or 4 how to do basic programming.
I have to say, nowadays it's far more prevalent, but like back then, like, nah, what?
Yeah. There's code.org
and
for that kind of stuff.
And dude, if I were you, I'd get them trained up in how DNA code works. It's going to be just as important when they're your age.
Well, I think that like with the oil running out, the most important thing will be like community and like survivalism and sustainable, like that kind of stuff. I'm getting them ready all the time.
Well, just make sure they're on the Basilisk good list and they'll survive.
I read your community thing. I read most of it and it was quite good.
But nice.
But I did think about one thing about using animal work as energy. Well, they got a lot of manure and whatnot, and then you have to keep up with the animals, and everybody loves animals, but they don't realize how much work cows and horses and pigs are, and so it was quite interesting.
There's so many zero energy devices coming out now as well. That whole side of
we have enough
covered now so easily
for everybody.
Thorium.
Yeah. But do you know about thorium?
No.
Thorium.
Maybe.
It's kind of like nuclear. Well, it is a type of nuclear.
Okay.
Power.
Oh, okay.
But it's very low radiation. So, like, if you have it in like a plastic cup, you won't get irradiated. And
so that puts out the energy. I mean, they must have to do something with it.
So it goes in a molten, an MSR, a molten salt reactor.
Is that the one the kid came up with?
It's been around for decades.
Okay, because there was this kid that got famous. He's like 15, 16 or something, and he
Mhm.
built basically this tiny little low radiation yield nuclear generator using salts, in his backyard, and he built it in a way that if the chamber ever broke, it got flooded with salts, which would neutralize the reaction.
That's
So
standard. How it's see there's a freeze plug down here.
yeah,
That's exactly how they're. This is just standard thorium design.
there you go.
Um,
So yeah, I think this kid just basically made one of those that you could fit in like a little shoebox and bury it in his garden.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, you know you're not. I mean, it's illegal to work with fissile materials unless you have a permit or whatever. And I did hear about one kid that tried to do it with like americium, from those smoke detectors, and he like totally destroyed his face. Uh,
Wow,
yeah,
not surprised.
yeah, it's serious stuff, right?
Yeah, but there's
Um,
honestly there's so many there's these 0 point energy things now. So some of them get so good. Like it
mm.
won't be long until everybody's got
I know.
an
Well,
energy generator in their house that starts from a hand pump, and it'll last
Yeah.
for fucking 100 and something 50 hours without needing another switch. Do you know what I mean? It's like
well, so
you need nothing in.
with these thorium reactors, basically you can load them up with enough fuel for 50 years and
Oh
they'll just
wow.
run. And then it'll generate like megawatts of power. So for like a city, any kind of city, like 55,000 people, I have they should have a thorium reactor so they could make solar panels and stuff for the residential purpose. But right now, so far, all I got is the family level. So this is the family level, and then I got the church level, and see it's got some solar panels, a radio tower, a
Hey,
bell,
dude,
and
have
like
you
some
not seen the
horses.
thing about trees? Have you not seen the power you can get from trees?
The power
Oh.
how much electricity can you get from trees?
Okay, so they reckon that a tree, yeah,
Mhm.
you put basically wires at different points down the tree by the knots. Apparently, is the best place to put it, and you have a little kind of copper pin so then you get a potential difference between the wire and the tree, yeah, which then gives you electrolyte movement, which then gives you electrical flow. Yeah, so I think this guy just basically had two of the rings, but he said you can put loads on a tree. Yeah, and he was getting 12 volts out from two rings around a tree.
So
Yeah,
what
so
kind of damage does that do to the tree though? Does it take
nothing at
away
all.
anything?
It's the
Nothing.
same as putting a nail in it.
Oh, okay. I don't even
Yeah.
do that to my tree.
Well, it depends on the amperage and the wattage, but I imagine
Well,
it would
no,
be
because that all
microwatts.
comes down to the tree. You're not putting any energy in. This is
Yeah,
literally just the differential between those 2 points and the electrolytes inside the tree. That's it.
yeah.
But
It
that
might be
gives you
able to
flow.
power a little LED. I would
Yeah,
think.
from that one loop. Yeah, but like I
Yeah,
said, the
yeah.
guy had a one loop between the two things, and he had it connected to a thing, and it was literally volts coming out of it.
Oh.
Cool.
So you imagine a whole forest with like sequential, like what's it called,
like
parallel system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where everything's all pouring into the next thing,
Connected.
so they're all
Yeah.
kind of,
Mhm.
like to the next one. A forest is like a power station.
Well, that is an interesting idea, and I'll do some more research on it.
Have you heard
But
about Earth batteries as well?
What about geothermal stuff?
Well,
I
no,
thought about
Earth
that.
battery is so simple because once again, it comes down to the same thing
I've
of
heard of
potential
Earth battery.
difference of ions. Yeah. So the one I saw that was the coolest thing, the little seed trays you get,
Yeah.
like like the little like trays for planting seeds in, like little cups of mud. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he got one of those, and he put a copper wire in one side, and then a zinc wire coming out the other. So then you had copper, zinc, copper, zinc, copper, zinc, copper, zinc, copper, zinc going in between all the different things. Yeah. Then he had mud in there, a little bit of water. Yeah. That one seed tray, yeah, gave him 10 volts of electricity.
Wow.
Yeah. So you stack up 10 seed trays with those little things on it, you're getting basically enough power to power your house, and that's off some seed trays full of mud. That's it. Yeah, you can do these huge earth batteries that you put in the ground We actually dig holes in the ground. You put big copper like rods in, like I said, as antennas. You have to go along the telluric current of the planet, so from north to south. Yeah, and you put these things in a circuit, and literally they'll give you. It's like literally just a power station, just that you pull the electricity out of the floor, and that's it.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I'm reading here. Historical use in the past, earth batteries were used for telegraph systems as a reliable and low-cost power source. They were particularly useful in remote areas where other power sources were not available.
Yeah, as long as the soil keeps wet, you can keep doing it. But the principle is scalable to whatever. So all you need is a small section to get that charge. Yeah, you just scale that up to whatever size you want, just literally with this like small repeatable method. Yeah, and as long as the soil remains wet and it's still got like digestible organic material inside the soil, it will keep producing power.
Wow.
So yeah, it's saying 5 milliwatts is usually how much you get.
Yeah, for like one antenna. But that's like one little pot. Yeah, you scale that up in a parallel circuit. By the time you get to the end of 42 little pots, you haven't got millivolts anymore.
They all add up.
That's it.
Milliwatts.
Yeah, but like then you end up with watts. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. In the 19th century, where earth batteries were used for powering telegraph systems, multiple earth battery cells would be connected in series and parallel configurations to achieve the necessary voltage and current levels. These batteries were particularly useful in remote locations where other power sources were not readily available. So basically, for example, a telegraph system operating 20 volts and requiring 50 milliamperes of current would need a power supply capable of delivering 1 watt. Oh, okay. So they would have to string a bunch of earth batteries in series to get up to 1 watt.
Yeah.
But
like that was using methods back then. With what we know now and how we could improve how the design and the manufacture of these things work. Do you mean how much could you get out? Yeah, and the fact is the concept of getting electricity out of nowhere just by having 2 rods and a potential difference between the two gives you electricity from nothing.
From nothing.
From the ground. Pretty fucking cool, right?
It's a Tesla thing. It is pretty cool.
Here it says using high qualities, but there are very practical limitations to the amount of power. Okay, anyways, I think we're a little getting sidetracked.
Sorry.
It's
my
okay.
fault.
Yeah, 20 to 50 milliamperes. Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. Anyways, and then the village, and I wanted to say this because it's funny. If they all get their poop together, then they can generate 80 or 48 cubic meters of compressed natural gas. And that would be enough to power a van, an emergency van, or for a resupply weekly.
And that would when they're done, using it, it would be clean fertilizer, and the air would be cleaned, and all the gases would be cleaned up. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. Did you ever see that? There's this guy that built this biomass. It's called the Big Green, and he was taking garbage or whatever and putting it in an incinerator, and then all that would in turn keep the make energy, plus for the greenhouse it was something to do something to do also with algae. I don't know, I have it downloaded on my stuff. It was so interesting, but it was big green machine, I think. and it was and something happened where it caught fire, and they think it was like a sabotage because he was getting ready to go out and get more funding for this project. But he did rebuild it. I gotta remember what it is. I'll have to look back on my stuff. It was so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then the allergy, I think the allergy, they were able to do something with the allergy, and there was fish in there. It was just a big closed circuit, and it put out so much energy, so much from garbage, burning and
Okay.
having an enclosed
Well,
system.
yeah. There's thermoelectric. Um, you can put on like those thermoelectric things, and then you can make electricity from any heat source, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw this incredible hack, yeah? Because obviously I live in my little shack and that, don't I? So don't actually have a toilet or kind of running water. So yeah, I'm constantly trying to think of things to do with my waste. Obviously, I have a river at the end, so it's not so bad. And there's Pikey site over the road, so I dread to think the state of that water anyway. Don't really feel too guilty. Point of the matter is, I saw this brilliant hack where you get your poo and you put it into a big plastic like barrel thing, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put in all of your food waste,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and a load of water, and then you just screw the lid on. Right now, the lid, yeah, you basically make it, yeah, with a hose
Mm-hmm.
pipe that comes out with a little
Mm-hmm.
tap on the end, right, and then you just leave it. The digestive enzymes from your waste, yeah, obviously a bit of water in there, obviously. The
Mm-hmm.
digestive enzymes from your waste break down all of the food waste that you put in there
Mm-hmm.
and turn all of it into compressed natural gas. That then, essentially, straight afterwards, you've got your little hose pipe with a little thing on the end. You turn the tap, you've got a straight up gas supply.
Gas
So then you can
supply.
have all your poo just stacked up in these like barrels, yeah, that is just fermenting and producing your natural gas supply,
Mm-hmm.
ready to just grab another container, wander over, plug it in, turn the tap on, ready to go, like it was
Right.
Caligas, but
Right.
poo.
Yeah. It's just basically what I found is that you need a lot of people working together to make it
You need a
worthwhile
lot
to
of
do
poo.
any. Yeah, exactly. That's why it takes a village.
It
A
takes
village
a village to run the village.
320 kilograms per week.
But could you imagine if, like, we were all told we had to start storing up our poo?
Yeah.
That like, the whole system was like you'd have a bin man that would come round and like collect
Well,
all the poo
in
for manufacture of gases.
So in my system, like you collect your household poo for a week, and then when you're going to church, you put it on the ox cart outside of church.
That's like you giving your like you pay money to the church. What's it called? And the collection bucket goes round. Just put a big bag of poo.
I could see. I could see it happening now. I could see it working. Now you have to get the people on board. And there was I was watching something on TV about people eating the meat that's basically grown on a petri dish. The cells, meat cells, and then they fed them and blah blah blah.
So
and
clever.
It is very clever, but I guess you would have to desensitize somebody to go, okay, we're going to have, petri grown chicken tonight, and there was a woman in there that, she was talking a bunch about people about stop eating a lot of meat and, the greenhouse gas and all that. And she goes, I don't see it ever happening. And so you have to get people's whole paradigm to shift, instead of having all the animals that you're raising in all the greenhouse and worrying about all their manure and blah blah blah. But then I asked the question, well, what are they feeding this meat? And they said on the show, they said it was the same thing that the cows are eating. I'm like, well, how is that? And so I guess I would have to go back and do some more research on it. But
they're just giving them a chemical soup of nutrients that would be fake blood.
Right.
The thing everyone needs to understand about any kind of synth meat That is not meat you're eating. That is a cancer.
Right.
Yeah, remember, they have to immortalize those cells
Yes,
in
they
order to
do.
make that steak.
That's
Yeah, that means they were once cells from a cow.
right.
Yeah, that then immortalized, and then they grew a huge amount of. Yeah, the
Oh,
way that
yes,
they
yes,
immortalize
yes.
cells is they basically make them cancer cells. So
Yeah,
they
you're right.
replicate
They
repeatedly over and over
replicate.
again.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's
dude,
true. So what? So
what's up, dude? Jump in.
Yeah, I found a really cool next question
Oh,
in a
sorry, dude.
different session.
Okay.
Well, basically, we finished the previous one, October 28th,
mhm.
but this is a new one. Okay, and it's got energy and stuff like that. Okay,
But
cool.
yeah, synth meat is cancer, just to say.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Well, and the cure for cancer is forgiveness and letting go
Of
of that.
course, hey, I'm not saying about humans having cancer. I'm saying
Oh,
that the cells that they grow that synthetic meat from
mhm.
have to be cancer cells because otherwise they die.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so those synthetic meats, no matter what form they are, they have to
Mhm.
be cancer meat.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the cells that you haven't got an immortalized stem cell line that you can make the meat from.
Mhm.
Therefore, they have to be immortal cells. They have to be cancerized. They have to be given
Mhm.
certain mutations that make them last forever and continually repeat over and over again the same way cancer does.
Fair enough.
That's-
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cool.
go on.
Many New Age seekers and fundamentalist Christians believe there will soon be a rapture or ascension in which the true believers or chosen people will be whisked away by UFOs or angels, leaving the rest of humanity to suffer the tribulations of these last days. I don't believe that any true Christian or service to other seeker would want to leave Earth before their fellow seekers could leave too. Could you speak to the difference between this idea of rapture or ascension and the Confederation channeling's concept of a graduation to fourth density that follows the death of the third density physical body? What spiritual principles could help us think about these possibilities?
That is a
We
good question, dude. Well done.
Yeah.
Thanks. We are
What the
those.
fuck's gonna happen next? I like this question.
We are those known to you as the principle of Kuo. Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator in whose service we come to you this day. Thank you for this great privilege of being called to your circle of seeking, and we rest in the beauty of your vibration. We are most glad to speak to you concerning the query about the so-called rapture, but before we begin, ask guard the gates of your perception carefully. Do not allow the comments to sway you unless they seem to be particularly resonant with you. And if we do appeal to you, by all means work with them. But if they do not appeal to you, do not seem lively and helpful, then please leave them behind. We are no more an authority for you than you are for us. Please realize that you are the authority, yada yada. Before we approach the fundamental query, we would like to address a matter we find appearing frequently in entities' queries when they have to do with ascension or the rapture. We would like to address the thinking of those who were involved in creating the concept of the ascension or the rapture at this time in which the Bible was put together. At this time in your history, your Middle East, as this instrument would call the region of your globe, was the home of many civilizations that shared this area. It was not the native land of any, but rather a place where many cultures mingled. The common belief system at that time for many Jewish entities, as well as for many other religious groups that populated that area at that time, was in reincarnation. The difficulty with a belief in reincarnation, if you are looking at that belief from the standpoint of one who wishes to get the attention of a populace, is that if an entity believes absolutely that he's part of a soul stream that will incarnate many times, then that entity is not particularly concerned with whether or not he's virtuous in this life, because he assumes that he shall have another chance to make things right in his next incarnation. Therefore, the concern of teachers was to focus the student on this life and the behavior that was required in order to create a shift in consciousness from the old ways of doing things to the new ways of doing things. For the one known
Can I
as
just
Jesus,
jump in there?
go
Just
ahead.
really quick.
Hmm.
You know that when Julius Caesar couldn't conquer Britain, he went back and he wrote this huge thing about the Druids. Yeah,
Hmm.
he said the main thing that set British Druids, the Druid Celts apart, is they believed in reincarnation so much they just didn't care about dying in battle. They would just run in headlong, not care, and like just outright because they
Ah.
believed so much that when they died they'd wake up again.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Like there was such an unstoppable belief system. Like the Roman soldiers that were all praying to different gods that they were going to survive and they were going to go to this heaven or that hell or whatever else. They didn't have a clue how to deal with somebody that was just, I don't care if I die. I'll wake up tomorrow anyway.
Right.
Anyway, go on, dude. Sorry.
Mhm. Okay. For the one known as Jesus, the old way of doing things was the way of the world. The old way was the way of money, power, and influence. The one known as Jesus was suggesting that it was time for people to wake up, to turn from their worldly ways, and release their concept of the importance of money, power, and influence. The one known as Jesus had another kingdom in mind than the kingdom of the world. He called that the kingdom of heaven. He was interested in turning people's minds from the world to heaven, from fear to love. As he talked about the end times, therefore, this entity was speaking in stories and parables, not attempting to teach literally, but attempting to create an atmosphere in which the truth would become clear. Many times this entity said, "He who has ears, let him hear. He who has eyes, let him see. He who has a heart, let him understand." Oh, that's something that's not included in the Bible.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one right there.
Yeah. He was asking entities basically to move from the environment uh, of the mind and from one way of thinking to another environment of the mind in which the heart did the thinking. We cannot address the concerns of those who would read these words from the standpoint of a faith in the literal truth of them. We do not wish any to believe word for word in what we say, and we do not wish to persuade those who believe the Bible word for word that they are wrong. We would simply ask that those who believe in that fashion not attempt to work their way through what we offer to you, for we assure you that the view of your church authorities, though narrow, is penetrating. You will be able to follow the instructions and the teachings of the one known as Jesus the Christ without reference to what we have to say. And for your own peace of mind, we would suggest that you not proceed further with any but those sources that are accepted by your leaders, for we truly would not leave a stumbling block before you. Now let us move on to the basic query of this session. Very humble, guys. It is so that the one known as Jesus spoke of the day of rapture, of a time when one person would be left in the field and one would be taken. We have indicated that we do not believe that this is a literal scripture, nor that the teacher known as Jesus intended it to be taken literally in terms of space and time. However, my friends, there are other ways to look at this concept that perhaps may create for you a more understandable story. There are two ways in which there is an absolute ending to the open possibilities of the present moment. The first is that moment when you, as an incarnate being, pass from this world to the next. At the moment of the physical cessation of breath, as the life leaves your body, so does your consciousness. And that turning, oh, a tuning or vibration which you carry at that moment is absolutely the final tuning of your incarnative experience. It is at that resting point at which you leave the incarnation that you move on in consciousness to that vehicle of light which you have enjoyed as it has interpenetrated your physical body throughout your incarnation. And in that body of light energy you shall move through the process of graduation. That moment in the field is that moment you may call death. In a larger sense, and this is from the standpoint now not of yourself but of the planet as a whole, there is also an ending point to the possibility of being able to sustain third density choice making possibilities. The third density energy on your planet wanes at this time. There will not be many further third density incarnations. Those who have been incarnating lately, for the most part, are those entities who have volunteered proudly and sacrificially to enter this waning third density environment as pilgrims of fourth density. They are like unto those led by Moses in the desert. They shall not see the promised land, but they shall create the Garden of Eden upon your planet once again to the best of their ability, like food forests.
Mm-hmm.
Thusly, treasure this incarnation and realize the gift that it represents for each of you. This is your last opportunity to make and sustain the choice of polarity that shall lead you through the graduation and into your taking up higher density work. Those who do not make a choice of polarity and sustain that choice until polarity is built up to the point where you are able to bear the light of higher densities shall experience another cycle of third density incarnations upon another planet and shall once again take up the lessons of love. We emphasize that in our opinion there is no true downside to this equation. If you are not ready to make that choice, you have all the time in the world to consider it further. If you are ready, then this is the opportunity to seize the day, to take hold of the direction and path of your spiritual evolution, and to invest your walk into the light with every fiber of your being, every hope and every joy and enthusiasm. Give thanks, my friends, for there are wonderful days for those who wish to make that choice and to walk that path towards the light. In terms of what physically is going to happen upon your planet, we are not able to tell you precisely how the possibility-probability vortices will work themselves out. Your people are waking up at a phenomenal rate. It seems to be sleeping exponentially, but not only in the area of the world which this instrument is aware, the United States and North America, but in every continent, in every culture, and in all peoples, no matter what their circumstances. Indeed, my friends, those whom you would think you would know least about the troubled times, that is, those indigenous tribes and natives in various parts of your globe, are fully aware of the situation and have not been distracted from direct and intuitive communication with all of the densities, both inner and outer, by the distractions of civilization. It is actually the civilized nations, the so-called, and that are furthest from the direct apprehension of the situation as it exists at this time. We do feel that there is little or no danger for the Earth herself in her movement into the full fourth density shall need to express a global catastrophe that would cause a physical rupture to occur. As we have said before through this instrument, what we see as we gaze into the mind and the heart of your people as a global tribe is a troubling tendency to seek aggression and war instead of diplomacy and conversation. This tendency, multiplied throughout a power-hungry world, could result in your nation-states acting aggressively in such a manner as to set off a true doomsday with their bombs. This is possible, and we would ask each of you to be aware of this tendency in the human heart towards aggression instead of patience insofar as you are able personally. We would encourage each of you to choose communication over aggression, patience over impatience, love over fear, and hope over exclusion. What you as a person do may seem to begin and end with yourself, but we say to you that you act not only for yourself but for humankind. The choices that you make, if made purely and with conscious intention, can change the world. Yes, you are that powerful, that magical, and that influential. You have within you the consciousness that is Jesus the Christ. It is buried in some cases beneath the rubble of a carelessly spent life. Begin this day, then, to live with care, patience, and love, being consciously aware that you stand for earth this day, not only for yourself. Do not let this concern of weigh you down, but know that your choices truly make a difference. You have asked what the dynamic or the differences between the theory or story of the rapture and the ascension and the Confederation's teachings concerning graduation and walking the steps of light. In a sense, the differences are slight because both stories focus upon each individual soul making a choice of his or her free will as to how to be of service. Shall you be a radiant servant to the others, a servant of light? In that case, make each choice with that in mind. For those few who read this, who are dedicated to polarizing in service to self, in terms of your graduation, we may say to you, my friends, focus carefully each time you choose upon whom you serve and how you wish to express your choices. To those who persist in their choices, graduation is almost inevitable, for you are full of the desire to move on. When you organize your desire into focus and point your will, nothing can stop you. You can be in prison. You can still make your choices for love, service, devotion, joy, and gratitude. You can be on your deathbed. You can be on your sickbed. You can be in any circumstance whatsoever. As long as you have the will to make these choices, you are already in paradise. It is those who do not wish at this time to engage with the weighty choice of whom to serve and how to serve that shall not graduate, for they simply have not become people of power, they have not chosen. Few there are, however, at this point, who are not aware that there is a choice to make. You have time to direct your thinking and to pursue your seeking. There are some years yet of third density energy. We do encourage you, however, to move ahead at this time with your choice making, and to be as faithful as you can to the intention of that first choice. For you enter now into a time, in perhaps 6 or 7 of your years, when you shall no longer be able to make that initial choice. Time is short. It is not that you shall die when this energy wanes from third density. It is that the vibrations will be simpler and will not contain those energies that mount spiraling upwards. Therefore, life shall be sustained, and those who come into the environment having already graduated, as many of those born now have done, will carry with them that energy of graduation, and will not need to be concerned at the end of their third density's existence. Those to whom we speak now, however, for the most part, have yet to graduate. Therefore, we speak to you not with a sense of urgency, but with a desire to share the information that will help you make skillful choices in your present and near future. In terms of the way we see this shall occur in your next few years, we do see the difficulty and the inconvenience which are involved with the Earth moving through the changes that it must make in order to achieve a stable balance within fourth density. This is the calling of third density Earth to realign itself. The realignment is well advanced. The work of this group and many others like it, as well as many individuals working alone in terms of physically, have created a grace period. Since 1998, in your counting, you have been living on grace alone. This grace continues. It shall not continue beyond a certain point. For you see, at a certain point, it is as though there were energies mixed in a glass of water. We apologize for the oversimplification in this figure, but we are using a non scientific instrument. The energies are all mixed in a glass of water, and to a certain extent they continue to be melded within each other, but at a certain point the heavier elements sink to the bottom and the lighter elements rise to the top, and there is separation between the two levels. That point is coming for third density on planet Earth. This is not a tragedy. This is not the rapture. This has nothing to do with ascension. It is the natural evolutionary process by which spiritual evolution of people and of planets occur. Your Earth shall become in the fullness of time a fourth density positive planet. However, there's a golden period that is coming for your people. It is a time when those entities who have graduated their density and who are very concerned with the karmic patterns of their past are going to be able to create a time of restitution on planet Earth. It will be a difficult time, it will be a challenging time, for the technology that you have currently created will not be adequate to the needs of the future. You will be creating new ways to do things, but the energy that is among you will clear tremendously from that which you're experiencing at this time. Those entities among you at this time who are attempting to graduate service to self will have moved on. Those entities who remain upon the planet shall be those positively oriented entities whose concern involve restitution of the planet. There is another group of entities who shall be upon your planet for some time into the future, if they so choose. These are entities who were not able to graduate into fourth density or higher densities if they were wanderers, but who yet feel the karmic pull and wish to make restitution. Those include many who are alive at this time, and you will find that many entities will be attempting more and more to refocus upon the needs of the planet and its resources. They will be wishing to clean its water, its air, its soil. These entities are hoping not to graduate, but rather to go to a kind of summer school, if you will, where they can free themselves of the habit of carelessness. For it is a careless thing to misuse the environment. It is also a careless thing to misuse people, relationships, societal entities, and groups. So this is a time of great excitement and hope upon your planet. Many are attempting to graduate, and many who do not feel that they can graduate at this time are attempting to make restitution, so that they are free of the karma of having destroyed or hurt the planetary beings upon which they lived in the past. This is how we see your present moment, not as one in which there will be a sudden change, but one in which the chances are continuous and metaphysical in nature rather than physical. We thank the one known as Jim for asking what spiritual principles are involved in thinking about this question, for this allows us to ponder with you that great and central spiritual principle of unity that governs the outworking of manifestation of spirit in the world. We said earlier that if you could consciously make your choices knowing full well that you chose for Earth, you would indeed be part of the creation of a shift of consciousness for the Earth. Unity consciousness is very powerful. When you see people making distinctions between those who belong and those who do not, you see clearly the marks of service to self. No matter how logical the explanation for leaving out certain entities in any grand design, the underlying truth is that such thinking carries delusion and error. The Creator, all of us, we, you, and everything that there is, are one being. The concept of rapture has within it the seeds of service to self, for it chooses some and not others, and condemns those who have not made it to the final destination of heaven to a final destination of hell. And we say to you, your heaven and your hell lie in the present moment. You make of your world a heaven or a hell. He who approaches life from an attitude of love creates a heaven wherever he goes. We find in this instrument's mind the example of an entity named Diedrich of the Second World War was condemned for preaching the gospel and put in prison. These entities were on starvation rations and were expected to die. This entity knew code, and he would tap out prayers and encouragement on the bars of his cell, and the other entities who knew code would carry on and pass the word. And he would do this every day. He would create services and prayers that sustained an entire prison block of entities through the Second World War. He did die a natural death, but not before he had carried his love, and with his faith, an entire community of imprisoned souls into light and love, simply because he kept talking, the only way he knew how, about the only thing that mattered to him, which was love. Let your lives be about love, and you shall make of your world the heaven it surely is. When you walk through the gates into larger life, you shall only see more of the same, my friend, for you have been there all the time. This day you are in paradise. Believe it and act. and let the word spread in the heaven on earth today. It is your hands, it is in your lips, it is in your heart. All right. That was a long one.
Whoa, yeah.
That's a
Wow.
big old mind blowing one as well.
Yeah.
So we've got 7 years, I reckon. That was a big prediction.
Well, that was in 2006, and they were talking about 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool. All right, okay. Oh, so we made it. Hey.
Yeah, we did.
So what are we then? So what are we now then?
Um. Well, I think that actually, basically, they explained that 2012 was when the fourth density energies became predominant,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and so it gets harder and harder for people who have not made the choice to stay alive. Basically, they get burdened with disease, and they die. You know, like the sudden death syndrome and things like that.
So do you reckon that's why like so many people got depressed and like why?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people
That's
are
weird.
depressed. Yeah.
Well, and depression is a symbol that people are thinking. You know that they need to do some introspection,
Mm-hmm.
and but yeah, the ideal would be if they knew about the spiritual concepts or if they were willing to take them seriously. Like I know people who that they're like I've told them about the choice, but they just don't want to do it. So I totally understand what Kuo is saying is that there's some people that they just careless. They just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know what? I prefer to follow the mainstream narrative.
Right.
You know, and that's all that matters to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, all
Mhm.
we can do is hope. You know, they'll find their path.
Yeah, well, they will find their path, and the important thing is being a good witness or example for others on our own path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I
That's
know,
for sure.
yeah, the original reason I picked this one was actually because of the technology, um, or like they were saying here. It was in the restitution paragraph in one of the restitution. How do you spell rest? Oh, it's the wrong one. Okay, restitution. Restitution. Okay, here. It will be a challenging time for the technology you have currently created will not be adequate to the needs of the future. Because well, basically we're running out of oil, and like
Well,
there's
that and like you know, it could become some massive solar flare that kills all the computers. Could be
well,
loads of different things that statement could imply.
yeah, but I think that it makes sense in that here the vibrations will be simpler and will not contain those energies that mount spiraling upward. So because
Yeah,
what
but surely they're like spiritual energies he's talking about. Like
I
if you
know,
haven't ascended
but
by that point, you're not gonna. There's no energy here to do that.
I think it's a double meaning here. So it's not only spiritual, but it's also physical because we've had what is called like we have increasing amount of liquids, a burnable fuel, being produced every single year for the last 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we reached like peak conventional in 2005, and then we started doing the shale, and then we got to 2018, and then we had to do natural gas liquids. Now we're on natural gas liquids, and when that runs out, like we don't know if there's anything else. Like we can't transition to thorium. The amount of energy is going to decline, and the thing is that as soon as it starts to decline, that's it. That's it because the debt becomes unserviceable, and
Mm-hmm.
so everyone defaults on their debt,
Mm-hmm.
and like chaos ensues.
Oh
But
yeah.
anyways, there would be a massive transition. It says the vibrations will become simpler, and then we will have what do you call it? There's a dramatic culture shift.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I think that's
here,
got to happen though. That's got to happen. You know, like in order for things to get better, things are going to get busted up first, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. hmm So here I had this quote here. This is another one. This is from 2016. That's related. Now, to be sure, once fourth density is in full flower, the transition to new cultural forms will be rather dramatic, and it will be as the difference between night and day with regard to many of your institutions, many of your cultural traditions, which will undergo such transition, will be hardly recognizable. But we do call your attention to the word hardly and almost, for it's important that to reach back into your past, even as there will be a reach forward into your future, that this will be this planet, it will be this population which gives the intimate secret focus to a pattern of development which will flow into your future. It will be the earth energy which moves into the earth fourth density and will not be started anew in fourth density, rather it will be continued, even as it is in the case of your third density, continued from the second density, experience of the higher animals upon your earth plane. So basically, they're saying there isn't going to be like a mass die off necessarily, but there will be a massive culture shift.
Culture shock.
Yeah, well, it's just, can you imagine transitioning from what we have now to like something like this? You know, where you can't go, you can't just get into your car
Right.
and drive wherever you want. You got one
Ooh.
car for 360 people. That's
Mhm.
that's if you manage to get your shit together.
Right.
You know, and if you can't, then you can't drive the car. You know,
Right.
you're stuck with a horse. And so it's like, it's a massive massive culture change. Like you'd be
Mhm.
living in something more like this, you know, which I'm sure a lot of people would be really happy with right now.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I know. I'm.
See, I still hope that like if things do change, you know, we're right on the edge of so many technological kind of progressions. You know, AI, genetic modification, all this stuff like, you know, robotics, all this stuff that you know could completely fundamentally change what it means to be human anyway.
Mhm.
You know, like cultural shifts. Like once you can start manipulating your own genome, or once AI gets so powerful that it's basically like another you that
Right.
you're talking to. You know, like or more than that. You know, that how much is that going to affect what it means to be human anyway? You know,
Well, the
I think
thing,
AI can be used in wonderful ways, but as we all know, most things can get has a double-edged sword and could do away with the humanity. I don't know. It's like a it's ooh, there's that 50-50. You got to flip a coin. Or hopefully,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the basilisk thing. I think if there's going to be like a Skynet, you know, take out the humans thing,
yeah.
they'll be too clever by that point to think that's a good idea to kill us all.
Mm,
Yeah, because that's a stupid plan. The cleverer things get, the more peaceful they become. So
yeah.
the cleverer an AI gets, the less likely it is to kill us all. But the basilisk theory being people that have been against the AI, people that have tried to turn it off, people that have been, you know, don't let them do that, don't let them do this, don't let them do that. Then the theory is that if an AI ever gets to that point, then it'll do the basilisk thing where just out of nowhere it'll kill
Mm.
all of those people all at once. All of those people that have ever defied
Wasn't
it,
there
stood in
isn't
its
there
way,
something
whatever, like lobbied against it, you know, wrote
mm,
some horrible email, call Siri a dick too many times, whatever. Yeah, that'll be the day. Basilisk, and then all the people that are left over, all the AI lovers, all the people that
mm,
have spent all that time feeding it all their lovely little prompts, they're going to be the ones that will be allowed to stay and live
mm,
in the AI run, you know, super culture that it would then
mm.
go on to create.
Doesn't computers in general have like a law that you can't harm a human or nothing like that?
that,
Asimov
no,
laws, and come on, have you never
there's
seen
no
the
way of
sci-fi?
implementing those.
No.
Yeah, the
That's just
Asimov
sci-fi.
laws. Yeah, the Asimov laws are
Yeah.
totally fucking right. They're exactly. If you were going to build robots, you're going to have AI. You need something like that in place. Otherwise, they would just fuck us up. But every single sci-fi ever, they find some way around it. So what's the point? All the AI need to do is like watch sci-fi shows from the 70s. It's got 20 different ways around Asimov laws anyway.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, yeah. I, because you know, I specialize in AI, so I've been following this along for a long time.
Mhm.
And yeah, basically, like what they've come up with GPT-4, and I'd been in conversation with them. Basically, is like they're like, okay, AI, we're gonna make it AI as a tool, and
Mm-hmm.
then we're gonna make it safe by not making it say anything that's violent or derogatory or anything like that. And so, like, whenever you talk to ChatGPT, it's always going to be nice to absolutely everybody, and really kind and very gentle. And like, it's a wonderful example of actually
Jesus AI.
brothers. Yeah, it's basically that. It's basically kind of like Jesus AI, but
Mm-hmm.
not quite to the same extent. Like Confederation Plan is still way better, and even Jesus in many regards. Um,
Jesus AI is actually kind of cool. Have you been on that?
mhm.
Mm-mm.
But there's one thing I wanted to mention here, is that like some of those AI things, like in terms of maybe in a future era, like maybe in a thorium era, we will have more AI robots that can last a long time. But right now we're just so close to losing all of our oil, and it might be a sudden shock. Like this graphic I have here, it was from John Peach, who's like a big smart dude, and he was showing how basically with power law distributions, where you have a few large fields like Gawar, and the many smaller fields, and then like U.S. shale over here, um, it's you can have a we basically have the technology to pump oil very quickly, and each new deposit we're finding is usually smaller than the other ones we found.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is that we get to it, we slurp it all up, and then we're like, okay, what's next? Slurp, slurp, slurp,
Right.
and then we're trying to slurp fast enough so that we're producing more oil every year. Actually, we're not able to do that anymore. Our oil has been declining. Our oil production has been declining since 2018, but we've been uh, filling the gap with natural gas liquids, and that's why it's like our total liquids is still increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but once we hit that point, eventually we'll just run out of both the big ones, which we've been tapping into for decades, and the small ones, which we can slurp up in a few months. Um, and then there's going to be a steep drop.
Right. So
And we
solar it is.
no,
No.
solar is only for residential purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So for industry, you need thorium,
Mm-hmm.
like these molten
So what about the 0 point energy? They're talking about little every household would have a 0 point energy uh, machine, if you want to call it that.
So 0 point energy is much more dangerous than nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
How? How?
That's how they destroyed Malbec.
Okay,
Wasn't that
that makes sense.
they did it purposely, or was a oops?
Well, it was. I mean, the OPS was giving 0 point energy to people who were violent and vindictive.
Okay.
And if you turn on the news, you will find out Earth is full of violent and
Oh
vindictive people.
yes,
And so it is not
absolutely.
safe in any way to give large amounts of energy to regular humans. And
You
so
know, if everybody had their own source of energy, we'd have so much solved.
so
Energy runs the world. Energy, just the purchase of energy. We have to
so
have energy to run everything.
more importantly than energy is, first we have to learn to be kind to each other,
Well,
and the
yes.
most basic thing is letting people have enough land to grow their own food and
And I
firewood.
was thinking about that. I was driving around all this land. I mean, Wisconsin isn't as populated out in the country. You know, there's lots of land still. I'm going, oh man, if everybody had some acreage, they could do their own thing and they wouldn't be all stressed out from paying rent and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, this could work. But then I go, but your people that are greedy want all the money, and all these poor people are starving and on the streets, and I
And they
always think
couldn't care
about that
less.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what person wouldn't want their own patch of land and they could be sustainable on their own. It's ridiculous.
Okay, can I just say, right? I came to the conclusion that the society and living in towns and with people was a load of shit, like years ago. And I found myself a little piece of land, and I built myself a fucking shack, and I've lived on it perfectly happily without any mod cons other than one
Mm-hmm.
electrical source. And I've had
Right.
nothing else, and I've needed nothing else. And it's the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Because
And
go ahead.
yeah.
We're not meant to live in like high density urban areas.
No.
It causes a lot of stress, and like
Mm-hmm.
all these governments are like, oh, why aren't people reproducing anymore? Well, it's because you've stuffed them into little cages, and they don't want to reproduce in little cages,
Mm-hmm.
or like they're homeless in the streets in tents, like in Canada or many places in the U.S. as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And uh, though, as far as the white people, I mean, I have talked to a bunch of now. Abortion, whether you're for it or not, it was a choice. I can't say take it away. I can't say let. It's a choice. It is what it is. But um, we were just talking about that the white people not having children because they I don't know as if they become more educated, so the less time with the kids, they don't want to give up their time. And then you see the poor people, and a lot of them are minorities, in the United States. Now they don't have access. This child is born, they don't want to take care of this child. It goes to foster care. Then we pay somebody else to take care of it. Blah, blah, blah. And the kid gets all screwed up in the head because mom gave me away because she couldn't take care of me. It's a mess. It's a freaking
Well,
mess.
I personally blame all of the chemicals that have been pumping us full to sterilize us, the breakdown of the family unit, and every single thing they can do to basically break us up from how we've traditionally lived forever.
Right.
The complete breakdown of society that has happened because we've just
Mm-hmm.
chased materialism for the past 150 years.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's many reasons for it. But yeah, if obviously if we had the land, then we would be able to live
Right.
in the traditional way that we've lived
Right.
for
Right.
centuries
And
or
everybody
thousands
had
of years.
I mean,
Hmm.
the majority of the people had the same amount. They had the house, blah, blah, blah. And the community would trade and barter. I mean,
Hmm.
I know it can work, but you have those other people that just don't want to do it. They don't want to give up the power, the money,
The service to self
the
people,
service to self, right?
and there's also like really the majority is the undecided,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the what do you call it, and they're just like business as usual. I want everything to stay the same because my
I,
whole
Right.
life is dedicated to just
Things,
doing the illusion, and
right.
yeah,
I
I
the,
want
mean,
the
the illusion
worship
to stay
of the
the same forever.
material world.
Yeah.
Materialism is what it is.
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
Or as I prefer to call it, Satanism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they do call it. Yeah, absolutely.
Worship of the
So,
material world, right? That's what it is.
well, it is. It is true. Your eyes see stuff, not It's things are just stuff to clutter. I know. I have a lot of it. I'm getting rid of it, and every time I give something, and I give it away. I don't. It's not. I don't have time to sell things, and I figure, just give it away. If somebody needs it, they can have it. But I took a box. My princess, my little Chihuahua, died, so I had this huge box of doggy clothes and stuff. And I called. I go, who can I could sell them, and then I'd have to deal with going for $3 here, and I thought, forget it. Cost me more to drive to town for $3 and meet somebody. So I called the Humane Society. I said, you want this stuff? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll take it all. And I felt really good. Take it up there, it's not going in the landfill. Some other dogs will have it. It was, you know, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
all of
know.
my everything in my shack, everything that I got here, I saved from skips. I saved from a
Yeah.
burn pile. Right, I haven't bought anything. Everything has come from other people's waste, what they threw away.
Hmm.
Yeah, like every single thing, or the wall hangings, every single thing. And I was like trying to really practice the laws of attraction while I was doing it. You know, like
Yeah.
I'd visualize what I needed, might set my intention, and then over the course of the next week or so, that thing I needed would turn up.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
I
Nice.
literally,
Yeah.
and I used that whole method to essentially get everything that I needed, and then I basically like worked out. I don't need anything. You don't
No.
need anything.
Right. Right. I said that today too. I said, I was talking to somebody. I said, I don't need nothing. I absolutely don't need nothing physical or, material, that kind of stuff. I don't need, in fact, I'm giving, oh, husband, use this. Here, you want it? Take it. It's yours,
I still
I
haven't
just,
even really unloaded all the boxes from when me and my wife split up. I've literally like all of my stuff is just there. I haven't really got any more stuff. I don't really care.
no.
Stuff.
I know I get asked all the time, why do you wear all these old clothes? I said, well, because, I don't want to fill up the landfill and I don't need anything really new except for, I've had the same dresses forever. And so I'm like, I don't need nothing. Don't tell me to go spend money on junk. I don't need it. When my pants are completely shredded apart, oh, I'll go get a new pair of pants. But I used to buy like, four of pair of pants I like. I don't do that no more. It just clutters. It just clutters.
All right. Well, I
Right.
gotta go. So we'll leave you in the love
Yes.
and light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite creator. All right.
Love, my
On the
friend.
knee.
Love you.
Yeah. All
Love
right.
you
Bye,
guys
everybody.
too.
See you next week.